just have to say, praise God. If you know him, I said, praise God. I have to start with my move to Austin. I left with a friend in a pickup truck, and I moved into a low-income apartment with my 2 children, and I had no job. I started looking for a job riding Capital Metro bus to get to my interviews. The job fell through. I remember crying at my kitchen table, saying, you know what, I'm just going to stay on the welfare. I'm just going to stay on the welfare. I've never been on welfare, but I'm just going to stay here. My tears fell on the Austin American Station to Evans Temporaries. I got on the bus. I live in Montopolis, and Evans Temporary was out on Anderson Lane. I drove out to Evans Temporary. I got tested, and a lady walked through. She says, "You're still here?" And I'm like, "Yes, no one's come to talk to me." She goes, "Oh, I don't know why." She goes, "You aced everything." She goes, "We may have a job for you." And I told them that I wanted south because I lived in Montopolis. I went to this state job, and I ended up retiring 24 years from that state job. I was still in a low-income apartment doing laundry one day. A sign was on the wall and said, "Are you tired of paying rent? And do you want to own your own home?" And I'm like, "Ooh, let me check this out. No down payment, sweat equity." I filled out all of my paperwork. I was sitting at my desk, and my phone rang at my desk, and it was Habitat for Humanity telling me that they wanted to come do a home visit. They came out, they did the home visit, and they said, "We'll let you know." While I was in the orientation, there was about 300 people there. None of us, but 300 people. They got up and said, "Okay, we're going to build 13 houses this year." And I'm looking around, 13 houses, all these people? I went home, I got my paperwork together. As soon as I got it all together, I put it in an envelope, I sealed it, and I prayed. And I said, "God, you know I want to get out of these low-income apartments, and I want this home." I sealed it up, took it to them. I'm at my desk again. My phone rang. "We want you to come pick your lot. You've been chosen to get your lot." That's just one miracle. My job, my home, and I have to tell you that I brought my other miracle with me. Yeah. I brought my son with me. Yeah. All right. September the 25th, I got up early in the morning and went to his room. He wasn't there, Michael. And I'm like, he drives trucks. And I'm like, I need for him to wake me up, because I pray for him every night he leaves doing that job. So I called him and I said, "Michael," I said, "you didn't wake me up." He goes, "Mom, you were sleeping so good." He goes, "I didn't wake you up." I'm like, "Well," I said, "Well, Michael, you don't sound good." He said, I'm already headed home. I'm like, "Okay." So I went ahead and made coffee, called my sister, talked. And I guess it was about an hour later, my phone rang, and all I could hear was police scanners. They were calling from Michael's phone. And I said, he goes, "Is this Judith Henderson?" I'm like, "Yes." "Michael's mother?" I'm like, "Yes." "He's been in an accident, and he's they've taken him to University Medical Center in San Antonio." So I called my daughter, who's in Illinois, and I told her that Michael's been in an accident, and his friend had called and said Michael had died. So I was all over the place. I called my sister in Round Rock. She says, "I'm on my way." When we got there, I journaled his I journaled his stay in the hospital. A lot of you might have seen it on Facebook. I walked in that room. He had so many tubes. He was lifeless. The doctors came in. He didn't have any insurance because he had just got this job with this trucking company, and he wasn't there long enough to get the the benefits. He had a probationary period. But I looked at him with all those tubes, and my sister and my daughter's friend drove me to San Antonio, and they stayed with me until that evening. My daughter flew in from Illinois. So the doctors were coming in. They were sticking needles to his feet, and they told me he had a massive heart attack. He had broken ribs. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, where was he? Who saw him? How did the accident happen? I had no clue. They called one of Michael's friends called and said, Miss Henderson, the man that saw Michael have the accident is trying to find you. And she said, here's his number. He called me. He pulled Michael out the truck and gave him CPR, he and another man. But he says, I prayed over him. His eyes were open. He looked at me. He said, I prayed over him and told him, you will leave. God told me. This is a young white guy. God told me to breathe breath into you. He said, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. He said, Michael's a cigarette smoker. Can you imagine breathing in somebody's? He told me he came to the hospital, he and his wife had stayed the whole time. So by the time Lakeisha got there, I said, Michael has no insurance. I'd say, they keep asking me questions. She said, what kind of questions? I said, well, he has no insurance. Is this, after a week, is this the life you want for Michael? And I'm like, of course not. I said, he's the father of two beautiful little girls. I want him to live his life. Well, we're going to send somebody up to talk to you. Who they send? The chaplain. So, they had to, I'm sure the hospital has to prepare you for whichever way it goes, but it was very troubling to me. And so when Lakeisha got on the phone, my nephew's wife told her, the social workers weren't working with us, trying to help us get insurance or anything. She gave us a number to call, and Michael was accepted like that for this insurance. We got his insurance for him. So now we've got the insurance. They put the breathing tube in his mouth and broke one of his tooth out. And he said, ma'am, I don't know. We're doing everything. They come in, they would stick needles to his bottom of his feet. They put the flashlight in his eyes. No life, no life. And one morning I walked in, and he had a male nurse, and I said, how was his night? He said, he had a good night. He says, I told him my name. And I asked him, what is your name? And he said, Michael. He said, what? He said, Michael. And so we knew that he was trying to talk, but he had the tube in his mouth. He said, but he did say Michael. I want you to know that I prayed day in and day night. Stand up, Michael. Michael was lifeless. That's my baby. That's my baby. What I want you to know, and I know you don't have a testimony unless you've been tested. Yeah. And I don't know, let me get my glasses, see if I can read this right here. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declared the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. What I want to say is, we don't need a room full of friends. We don't need a bank can't carry this high. We don't need the fancy cars and that. What we need to do is to stay with God. Because God, He never leaves us. We leave Him. We leave Him, but He never leaves us. Because there's no way everything that I have gone through in my 71 years of life, from my job to my home. I don't have a college degree. I have a high school education. And it enabled me, because now these computers are taking over clerical jobs. If you don't have a degree, you almost out the door. But he let me get my job, he let me get my home, and he kept my child alive. Yeah. And when we got on the elevator to bring him home to Taylor, he spent 115 days in the hospital. One of the young doctors that told me, he goes, I just don't know. He goes, I just don't know. There's no life, no. As we were leaving to get on the elevator, he walked by the bed and looked down at Michael. That's Michael. That's Michael. God He's never left me. I'm not perfect. I've made some wrong choices. I've done a lot of things. A lot of things that I enjoy. But when I prayed and asked God to take it from me, and prayed in sincerity, He took it from me. And I want anybody to know, anybody, I don't care what you're going through, whether it be a relationship, whether it be an addiction, whether it be your health, when you pray in sincerity and give it to God, He will answer. He will shock you. He will blow your mind. Because He definitely blew mine. More than once. More than once. I love you, Dee Dee. I want you to know that when she called me in April, my hands were so full. When you become a caretaker, and everything in me started to say no. But I'm like, no, I have a testimony. Then on the way here today, I call myself coming the back way, coming through Maynard, because I don't like traffic. I don't like traffic. I want to go back to Taylor, but I don't like traffic. So I'm coming back. If I tell you 3 major accidents, we were doing 10 miles. I started to call her and say, look, I'm going to turn around and go home. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. I talked to my nephew, Blake. I said, oh, Blake, I said, the traffic is horrible. 3 accidents. And we prayed all the way. I just want you to know, also, I see a lot of my friends out here. I see my sister, my cousin, my niece and her husband, my nephew and his wife, my nephew Blake, and all of these little people. We got a lot of little people there now. Those are our little people. And Michael's friend, Marie, is with us. So stay strong, and I really pray that something was said today. If you're not a believer, and you hear all of these stories, they're the truth. They're the truth, and they are about God. So whatever it is you're going through, He can fix it. He can fix it.